Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ricardo Bosi, National Leader of Australia One, and welcome to this Green Room Extra with our favourite ex-communist, John Wilson. Happy Easter to everybody. And for those of you who have a problem with us working on Good Friday, I can't think of a better day to have this conversation, and by the end of it, you'll see why. So let's bring in our favourite ex-communist, John. You're welcome, son. Now, just letting people know, bandwidth is an issue. So we'll be cutting our pictures off the screen as we need to let John's important message come through. Although I might occasionally pop in if I have something of relevance to say. But other than that, as usual, it's John's night. John, welcome. It's always a pleasure to see your smiling, youthful face on the other side of the screen, mate.
Hey, thank you, Rick. Listen, it's always a pleasure, man, to catch up. I've said to a couple of close friends of recent that I really enjoy getting, for us interviewing, and because I have a lot of fun, and I think you got to, mate. It's insanity out there, absolute insanity. So I think you got to blow off a little bit of steam where you can, but also that when we interview, we cover a lot of ground, mate. A lot of very, very important ground. Listen. Just on that. Thank you, Rick. I thought your last green room with Gideon was a cracker, mate. And let me say, it's not the first time, mate. It's not the first time that ordinary people up here in Queensland in particular, but in Australia, have gone out and tried to get treatments and cures and stuff like that for people who have been, badly infected. I go back to, a Queensland nurse, right, Sister Kenny, okay, who treated polio victims up here in Queensland, the symptoms of polio, and she was bitch slapped and derided and ridiculed by the medical establishment, and she ended up going to America. In the end, she kept at it and went to America and become a national hero. If you understand, just a Queensland country nurse up here in the bush, and she saved a lot of lives, done a lot of great treatment. So I congratulate Gideon and also yourself, Rick, for putting that green room together. It really gave me a lot of reasons to go hard in on this strike, mate. Listen, I don't know where to start, brother, to be quite honest. There's so much, but there's three things I just want to get dealt with and get them out of the way, right? Three. All right,
you kick off. I'll disappear from the screen, mate, and away you go. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. This is going to be a classic John Wilson moment, so have a great night.
Okay. Look, to all of Rick's audience out there, if you don't know me, I'm not a great communicator. Okay, I'm just not, right? I'm an old lefty. I'm not a communist. They call me Commo. I can't get rid of it, mate. It's like when they call you Cooker, right? They call you Cooker, they call me Commo. I can't get rid of it, so I just grab it and run with it, right? So I'm not a great communicator, and so for me tonight to get through the information I need to get through to you, get across, right? I'm just going to have to do my best. So I hope that you can follow me. Sometimes I get a little bit jumbled, you know what I mean? I go from this and go over to that. But in the main, listen, I tell stories, right? That's how I get my message across. I tell stories. I mean, Australia here, we built this whole country with guns and dogs and stories and cups of tea around campfires. That's how we built this country. So I relate to that, and I tell stories, right, to try and get my point across. So I hope you can follow me. And I'll right at the end of this interview, Rick, if you've got time and if I'm not too bold, I'll tell you a couple of stories, and I hope that you sort of get the point that I'm making. But let me start with just some of the basics. Okay. The national strike motion was moved, just a simple act of democracy, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it was. I was never going to go out and throw my weight round and be a big dick swinger and all this nonsense without having some source of authority, and all sorts of authority according to all of those great activists in this movement tell me it's the people. So I went to the people to have a motion. Now, it got torpedoed. All right. Now, I've since found out that I didn't know this. I had a contract with these people, right? Okay, paid money to these bloody people, not someone else, my money on my credit card, right? So, I was stunned when it was all taken down and torpedoed. I've since been advised, don't know whether it's true that it's owned by Israelis, right? So whether it's Unit 8200 or whoever, I don't know. But they totally and utterly wrong-footed me, okay? I couldn't help it. There's only me, okay? I'm just moving a strike. So I had to move as best I could under my own steam. Again, no team, no... to get that strike motion up again, I had to put it somewhere. I had to get somewhere. I wasn't going to go to some other bloody GoFundMe or some other pissant and have it all happen again, right? So I had to set my own website up, and that's what's happened, everyone. Okay, www.nationalstrikeaustralia.org. I had to get it up, and which I did, right? Okay. Now, it was not, it was rough, okay? We had lots and lots of challenges in front of me, right? Because I'm saying, how do I host this vote, get it up, and make sure that it's all verifiable and checked and clean data and all that sort of stuff? And then how do I manage, email, contact them, tell them what the strike is and how we're going to do things? All this all had to be put into place, right? And that's what's been worked on by volunteers, right, just doing their best, right, doing their best, getting 200% out of people that only had 80% or 70% to give in the first place. That's what's been going on, ladies and gentlemen. And so we relaunched last Thursday, yesterday, I think, losing track of time here, folks. Last Thursday or yesterday, the www.nationalstrikeaustralia website.org was relaunched, okay? And I think it's much better, okay? So the first thing I want to get across to people is that everyone needs to go back. We're starting afresh. Everything starts afresh, okay? Go back and vote. Go back and do all the things that, pulling your friends in, all that. We need you back again at that vote site. Except this time, right, we have security. We've got great controls in place to, eliminate spamming and eliminate trolling and infiltration and stuff like that. Okay, so please come back, baby, come back. Look, I'm very sorry, guys. They torpedoed it, mate, but you got to understand the reason why they torpedoed was that I took a couple of people back in to look at the back end of how they were counting that tally, and there was only 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 that was actually getting counted, mate. Like, our vote was huge after 3.5 weeks, and then they pulled it down and torpedoed it. Okay, you work yourself out, folks. Whether or not it was a sore point, absolutely, it was a sore point. All right, guys. So we now have National Strike Australia new webpage, and it is all up there. Please come and support us. Come and visit. It's going to get better. There's going to be more content, more stuff go up there. We are trying to build alliances, working relationships and alliances with others. We're trying to cross promote. I mean, we are. Again for Rick, and if you didn't know Rick, but we are cross-promoting. We have got the Australia One website, but we've also got Rod Cullerton's website. We've got Wayne Glue's Facebook page. We've got Dick Yardley's contact details and his material. I mean, we're trying to cross-promote all of these stuff. Right, okay. We're not trying to, be, closed book. We're trying to be the open. Okay, so please come. That's the website. All right. Now, I want to move on to number 2, right, and that's the strike motion itself. Listen, tonight, Rick, and I'm going to ask you to make a contribution here. People, Rick and I only talk whenever, you know what I mean? He's always doing stuff, and so am I. We don't live in the same world, I'm sorry, folks, right? But, Rick has seconded this motion and has been a rock-solid support for this national strike, and I want to thank him for it. But I'm now tonight want to declare that the motion is carried, right, that we have successfully carried the national strike motion, and we are right now, nationally, on strike against this belligerent it's on, folks. It's on, and I'm declaring it carried. Rick, have you got any problems with me making that public announcement, sir? I'm going to turn my mic off and give you the floor, sir.
No, you're right, John. Where you go? No, I've got no problem at all, because this is not dissimilar to the elections that we have contested many, many times now. We knew that they were rigged. We knew that the numbers would be dodgy, but we pursued the election result anyway, mainly to get experience, mainly to get people involved in the process. But the benefit that came out of those failed elections was not dissimilar to what happened with them shutting down your site. Now, we know the numbers were huge, just enormous. It speaks for itself. And when the elections were defrauded, people saw prima facie evidence that their vote didn't count. And once again, what's happened by pulling down the site, they have done us a massive service, because they only would have pulled it down if the numbers was just too great for them to fake. Even their fake numbers were getting too big. And the anecdotal evidence that we were receiving throughout this period, complaints from a lot of people saying, this isn't right, my vote obviously hasn't counted. We know that people have counted, have voted, and it hasn't been recorded. So they've done us a favor. They have demonstrated by their actions to kill the site that they couldn't handle, even with their dodgy numbers, they couldn't handle the volume of people that were coming through. So, mate, as far as I'm concerned, you're exactly on the money. The vote has been the motion has been voted in the affirmative by a resounding number of people, and so this is the people have said yes, we're on strike. So I'm right there with you, mate. We are on strike as of tonight. Australia now is heading down the only path to victory we can see.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, look, so there's nothing between us in terms of our assessment and our declaration, and I gladly accept your endorsement that I've got that call right. Thank you. Just as a tail end, so I can kill this, I put 50 people. I lined up 50 people, one after another, to go in there to vote, and I also had with me an IT guy, just a friend who knows his shit. And they voted 50 people, and when we went in and double checked it, we got 10. We got 10 out of 50. Now, that just tells that's when I was going to challenge the site. That's when I was going to challenge them, because I had a contract with them, right? And that's when they chopped it. That's when they said, no, we're not answering any question. There's your money back. Out you go. And I then took everything I'd said and done, all the actions, I gave all of that to another IT professional who runs his own big IT business, and said, listen, that's everything I've done, that's my contract. Can you tell me if I've done anything to have breached that contract, to have given rise to any reason whatsoever for them to have shut it down? And he looked at it for a couple of days and said, no, John, he said, man, you know, all you've done is call for a democratic vote. You're not inciting anything. You're not doing anything. You just, he said, no, you've done everything cool. Nothing there that I can see. So, folks, make your own mind up. Mate, this national strike is being fucking suffocated. And the only way we can get through the suffocation is through the energy, right? The energy, and that's what I want to talk about with you, Rick, because what this national strike has done is released a huge, pulse of energy for people pushing it forward, and I've really noticed that. Lots and lots of energy. So I'm going to declare it carried, Rick, and I'm not doing that in any sort of, way, to be smart or cute. I think it's the right way to go, and I think your support and endorsement is the right way to go. So thank you.
No, that's my pleasure, and right there with you in terms of watching what's been going on. People are excited. They can see with great clarity that this is the way forward to victory, because it just makes so much sense, and the energy is there. Everybody's on the front foot. They understand that we either act now or we die, because the Parliament is pushing through all the bogus legislation they can as fast as they can. We know that. So now this is the moment where we step forward, we're ready to go, John. The country is ready to go. The people are ready to go. And talk about energy. My God, we just know it's happened. The communications are there. The phone calls are there. The emails are there. We're ready to go, mate. So I'll hand back to you now and lead the way, son. Lead the way.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Thank you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, so that we've just got it clear, officially, nationally, Australia is on strike. The motion has now been declared successful. Now we move into our first strike, and I'm ready to call that one right now, Rick. Okay, our first national strike action that I'm going to call tonight, and it's on the green room. I'm not. This is the first time I've going to talk about it, and this is after going through a big team effort, mate, and I thank all those people who have got behind this first strike action. Okay, now the first strike action is going to be a national local council rates strike. Okay, now everybody out there, remember, I'm not a great communicator. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to talk in layman's language, right? I don't want to talk. I can't talk and I can't understand people who talk like these fucking lawyers, man. I just can't follow them, right? So I can only talk in layman's language, right? So I'm going to try and just lay it out, please. So help me, bear with me, cut me some slack, right? The first national strike action, right, that's been called for, right, is that of a national local council rate strike. In simple man's language, right, that means that no resident, household or small business in Australia will pay any invoiced rates demand unless and until the belligerent occupying council can absolutely prove, without any shadow of doubt, that it has the lawful authority to charge and invoice these rates, fees, or charges. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the first strike motion. So now, to support this first strike action, okay, go to the website, look under the strike actions, and what you will see is a portfolio of information. You will see an instruction video. You will see draft template letters. You will see a question and answer sheet, all there that you can download, fill out. All you need to do, and it's all explained. Fill out your name, your council, your details, and the body of the letter is all yours, ready to serve. Okay. Now this work has been done. This stuff has been put up, right, and hosted on the National Strike Australia's website by volunteers. Okay, volunteers, some of Australia's best minds, best thinking minds, people from the Anti-Corruption Academy. Research thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours of research and posted research by people going back to Romley, Stewart, Wayne, Blue, Rod Cullerton, Dick Yardley, and yourself also, Rick. Okay, this work is a sum of all of your efforts, of which I salute, and our team salutes all of you to put this stuff together and put it up and make it available for ordinary folk, ordinary Australians to be able to download, customise it for themselves and serve it so that they can fully participate in Australia's first national rates strike. And I urge everyone to do so. Not everyone can do this. Not everyone is in a position to do this. But if you can, I urge you to come on board the national strike, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, there will be lots of questions, lots of inquiries, I urge you, go to our social media channels, okay, on Telegram, on Twitter, okay? Join these discussion groups. Come to our website regularly. It will be updated. Our Q&As will be updated. You understand? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have tonight declared the national strike successful. We have declared our first national strike action, and there will be more to come. More to come, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the vote on the page, on the main page, please go and vote, please. I am not taking the vote down until the end of this year. Right, I'm going to take it all the way through to the end of this year. I want to see 1 million votes on that vote by the end of this year, ladies and gentlemen, if not more. That's what I want to see. Okay, so Rick, also with the relaunch of the National Strike Australia's webpage, a republication, and it's vastly improved. Part of the efforts to promote it and to get support for it, right? And you will see this letter that's hosted. It's up on the website, ladies and gentlemen, so you can go and read it for yourselves. But I have crafted I think a 3 or 4 page letter to serve on all other freedom movement activists, right? And all other truthers and these alt media people. So I've served this on at least 20 or 30 and many more to come, members of parliament, calling upon all of them to support the national strike, calling upon all of them to not only vote for the national strike, but to put some weight behind it, put their energy behind this national strike. Now, there's so far been quite a good response, I've got to say. Now, I've had personal phone calls with Dick Yardley. Dick Yardley, had a wonderful talk with Dick. I didn't know Dick a lot until I read his material. He supports the national strike. I've had a phone call with Wayne Glue. Wayne Glue was great. He was totally in support of the national strike. I had a telephone call with Rod Cullerton. Now, Rod raised a couple of concerns, and I get it. He said, I'm not having anything to do with any violent national strike. And I said, no, Rod, no, that's not what we're doing here. That's not the intention. And I explained it all to him. And in the end, Rod said, listen, I support the national strike in principle, right? Now, I've got yourself, Rick. I mean, you seconded this motion, and Australia won, and all of the members, and I've spoken to dozens of A1 members are fully in support of this strike, and I thank you for your support all throughout. Okay, so we've had great support so far. I want to talk further. We had Auntie Glenda, Aboriginal lady from down Canberra, Sydney, and Auntie Glenda fully supported the national strike, and Auntie Glenda in fact helped with the layout and some of the artwork on the web page itself, and I can't express my thanks enough for her contribution. The Unite in White activists, right? Hundreds of them, 500 of them, I think, or more, that are great supporters of the Australian military and beautiful spiritual people, okay? They have indicated full support. Another guy, I didn't know this guy, but another guy had a great phone conversation. A guy called Jody Lowe, who's a landholder farmer up at Emerald in Queensland, and I didn't know, but Jody's got quite a big social media following, and Jody fully indicated full support of the strike. And in fact, in the conversation that I had with Jody, it was so great, so good, so, that Jody had other community protest stuff that he had planned, and he's emailed me this stuff and saying, look, can we collaborate? Can we work together? And I've got no problems with that at all. And I've said, look, Jody, I'm bound by a motion So I've got to get authority. But I said, if we interview and you tell me what you want me to do, and I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I put that up, and if people say, yeah, that's cool, then I said, I'll work with you. I'll work with you. So I'm going to now do that. I'm going to try and get some time, get up to Emerald and meet Jody face to face. And I've also done other stuff. I mean, off his suggestions, mate. I'm ordering 5,000 beer coasters for the national strike. I'm ordering big rubbish bin stickers for the national strike. I'm trying to get other materials and assets together to promote and endorse the National Strike of Australia, to get it out there. And the people that have contacted me, and I thank them all, have been very, very supportive. It's been great. It's been great. Now, I'm still waiting for others, right? And there's a lot of politics here, Rick. Lots and lots of gatekeeping, lots of politics, and a big fracture line, which I can talk about some of that later on. But look, I've sent, notices out to the Aussie Cossack and Dave Oniggs and Kent Brown and his brother over at the Australia Project, and also some of the politicians, all saying, hey, support the national strike. Okay, so that's gone out, and that letter, is up on the website. Go and have a look at it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can. Okay. Look, I want to come to this point, ladies and gentlemen. I want to come to this point, and look, Rick. There's so much unfolding out there. There is just so much unfolding out there. It's really, really hard to, trying to follow all this stuff and trying to explain it and trying to keep it all together in some sort of narrative that people can understand, right? Okay, so again, folks, I learn, I listen best and I learn when I have storytelling. I love a good fucking story. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good story, right? So, and most of Australians, Banjo Pattersons and Henry Lawsons and, all of our great poets and writers and all that, they've all, they're poets, but they're storytellers. And they've allowed Australians to express themselves through their stories. So, it's just, I think, a natural here in Aussie, maybe not in other parts of the world. But, the pioneers of our country, mate, they built this country with guns, oh yeah, and savage dogs around a campfire with, mugs of Billy Tea, bit of damper, and telling stories, okay? And that's the way I learn, and that's the way I sort of talk. So bear with me, folks, bear with me. Look, let me tell you this, right? National strike in Australia. I've been asked this question. I'm just trying to, give you my thinking, right? The people have said, listen, Commo John, is this national strike Australia going to work? Right? Has it got a chance, right? And I want to just give you my feedback to that, right? Because it's been a lot of people have raised it with me on the quiet. They don't say it loud, but they say it quietly. And I just want to give you my feedback, right? Fucking publicly, right? So it's on the record. Listen, this national strike is a slam dunk, right? It is a sure bet, right? This national strike is the timing of it, the timing of this national strike, and I'm going to go into a lot more other commentary at the back end of my report here, Rick, later on. I'm hoping that people can follow where I'm going with all of this, but this national strike fits right in to what is happening internationally, geopolitically. It fits into a lot of the biblical sort of convulsions that's going on in the world today, because we ultimately know this war, this belligerent occupation is sponsored by Satan, man. I mean, they might be actors and all that sort of stuff, but This is a satanic war we're involved in, Rick. It's a spiritual war, and anyone that doesn't understand that should go and introduce themselves to someone that is spiritually aware and listen to what they're going to advise them to do. So, Rick, this strike ticks all the boxes, and the Australian people are ready for it. They're ready for it. And I want to say this, Rick, because this is the thing that's just really blowing me out with all of this. This is the first big struggle ever I've been involved in or have studied, right? Okay. This strike is not about, normally every strike I've been involved in or every revolutionary struggle that I'm aware of in my readings and learnings, it's always, we want what you've got. We want what you have, and we're gonna go after you, take you down, and take it off you, right? And that's the way it's always been, right? But not now. Not this war now. Is a case of we don't want what you have, right? You are a belligerent occupation. You are fake. You are fraudulent, right? And everything that you offer us, we don't want it. Take it and get the hell out of our country, right? So it has a real different focus and a real different, how would you say, I mean, it's nothing I've ever been involved in before, Rick, this type of stuff. This is unique, right? Okay. I want to move on, brother. Look, this strike is going to work, ladies and gentlemen, right? We have to be careful, right? We got to make sure that this strike is targeted, right? And we also have to be careful. As the matrix, as this belligerent occupation comes down, and it is coming down, right? It is collapsing, right? Okay. As they are going to convulse. They're going to get dangerous, and they're going to go crazy. They're going to go psycho, right? So we got to be careful, ladies and gentlemen. But they are going to go down regardless. And that's why I say this national strike, mate, in a winner-take-all war in a winner-take-all war, right, is a certain bet. It's a certain bet. There is so many other legs and moving pieces to this belligerent occupation that is already being taken out, already being neutralised, that they are just unable to cope with a citizen people's national strike. Okay, they can't cope with it, and it's going to be a laid down misere. Take my word for it. I have a lot of experience in that.
Can I jump in really quickly on that one? And I can understand, look, a lot of people, they're keen to go. They have no doubt this is going to work. But for those of you who are a bit concerned, and as John said, quite rightly so, you got to think of it like we're storming the beach, but you got to understand the artillery's been firing for some time. They've been softening up the objective. We're not running into a fully formed enemy anymore. The enemy's already panicking and running. The enemy high command has been taken out. Most of their supporting arms have been taken out. To continue the analogy, you might be charging up the beach, but the naval gunfire support has been pounding them for a long time. And people say, well, what evidence do you have? Well, I tell you what, and the Christians amongst you will get the significance of it, but even the non-believers will understand this. Good Friday is the anniversary of the day that Christ was crucified. It's a big day in the Christian calendar. And 3 days later is the most important day in the Christian calendar. But the point is this, in Australia, and John and I, we've been around the buoy a few times, let's just say, Easter was a time of solemnity, and everything shut on Good Friday. And that's what it was like. Everything shut. And I was told today, because I hadn't noticed, but somebody said, well, I can shoot down to Coles and get something to buy. And they said, no, Coles is closed. And I said, what? Coles is closed. Woolies is closed. The duopoly, the corrupt duopoly that is making you pay higher prices for your food than anybody else on the planet, they are both shut down today. This hasn't happened in decades and decades. It's huge. Now, it might have happened in the last couple of years. I wasn't paying attention. But for the longest time, they were always open. And so if you want evidence that even the big fellas are taking orders from somebody, this is it. So you can charge up that beach knowing confidently that the naval gunfire support, the artillery, the bombers have been flying over the enemy position for a long time now. They are not strong anymore. Their barbed wire is cut open. The minefields have been cleared. The beach is cleared. Just get up that hill. There's nothing to come at you. There's nothing to come at you, folks. This is the easiest first job you're going to ever have. Just go to the website, sign up, and follow that first action that John's outlined. Sorry, mate, I'll let you get back to it.
Look, Rick, thank you for that contribution, and you're dead right. You're dead right, brother. Look, I just want to finish off about how certain I am. Look, folks, to execute this strike, right, to execute this strike and to pull it off, right, and I'm certain it's a winner, right, in my opinion, 40 years I've been doing this stuff, okay. Now, I'm going to get a little bit further just to, what gives me the right to sort of make some of the statements, but I'll do that later on in this interview if you don't mind, Rick. Listen, to do this, to pull this strike together, what is needed is an experienced and toughened leader, okay? And that experienced and toughened leader has to be a systems thinker. Okay, a systems thinker, because we are at war with control systems. Okay, now we're brought up and schooled and am an expert in communist control systems, right? But they're not the only control systems that are out there. You have military control systems. You have Freemasonic control systems. You have, and the list goes on, right? You need someone, right, who's experienced and toughened, but who understands systems thinking and systems planning. Okay. Now, in tough social change settings, okay, you've got to have someone that's got experience in big social change settings, okay? You've got to secure that person. Then you've got to have a tight, disciplined team of activists that has to be built around that leader, right? And I'm saying out there that that's me. I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know whether you like me or whether you don't, or whether you trust me, whether you don't, right? I'm saying to you that there is no one in Australia in 2024, and there hasn't been for the last 5 or 6 years I'm aware of, because I've been asking for one, right? There's no one that has this pedigree and this experience, okay? And let me just say this, and I talk about social change. Look, ladies and gentlemen, and Rick, look, right now we are going through massive social change. We are going from a pre-February 2020 world before Corona, and then that was triggered. And then for the last 4 or 5 years now, we've been going through a massive societal change. And it's really only people who understand this stuff, that can see and monitor these changes in society. And I put it to you that for the last 200 years, the constant force that's always been not just present but front and centre in all these societal changes, right, are trade unions, and which I have been front and centre right in the middle of that. So I bring a hell of a lot of experience to the table, okay, in terms of qualifying and being able to hold myself out to lead this national strike of Australia and to be your national spokesman. But I put this up, Rick, and I make this public. If there's anyone else out there who thinks they can do a better job, who thinks that they are better qualified, then please contact me, Rick. Please do so, and I hold no ill will to anyone that does. But I put it to you, if they can just convince me they're fair income, and that's all I ask, then I'll tell you what I'll do. I will put a national vote up on our website. I will host a national vote, and we'll have an election. Either you elect Commo John as the national spokesman. I've already been elected. That motion's been carried, so I've already been elected. But if he wants to stand or she wants to stand against me, then I will host that vote on our web platform, and the whole of Australia can come and vote. And if they want me out, I will gracefully retire and hand the keys over to whoever they want to elect. But for now, you're stuck with me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not relinquishing anything, and I'm fully committed, okay? But I put that caveat out there, Okay. Look, Rick, there's so much other stuff, right, again, and it's really hard to follow. But I want to go into a couple of things about why it's, I believe it's appropriate, right, for a national strike, for me to call for a national strike, and for well over 10, 20, 30, and I think up to 50,000 people in 3.5 weeks supported that, right? Listen, I want to talk about a word called Tang Ping, Tangping, Tang Ping, right? Okay. Now in China, right now in China, now this started off 2 or 3 years ago, right? Not exactly sure, but some young Chinese kid said, listen, I'm not copying this anymore, mate. I don't want to commit to all of this lifelong of debt and go to universities and learn all this stuff that they want to force and be so competitive and get married and have I don't want any of it. That's it. I'm not participating. I'm pulling out. I am lying down. I am protesting and on strike, and I'm lying down. And they called it Tang Ping. Okay, and it went viral in China. It's only a couple of years old. I can't give you an absolute, I don't have that. I'm just reporting to you. Go and look at this stuff. What's happening in other parts of the world. And now this Tang Ping put the frighteners right up the Communist Party in Beijing, mate. The Central Communist Party. They shit themselves. And you know why? To keep their fake belligerent occupation going, they must get all of the Chinese, particularly the young ones, to come into their consumer environment and just become consumers and competitive and all that. And if the young people don't and walk away from it, right, time lags, etc., but their whole show will collapse. And they know this, and they know it. And they could see this one viral post going absolute apeshit amongst all of the young people in China. So I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, mate, it's no wonder they took their strike motion down, mate, off this petition hosting website. It's no wonder, because what I'm finding out, what's going on in China, the algos and everything set. If you mention Tang Ping, woof, you're out, mate. You are out. They shut it down, mate. No talkie in communist China about Tang Ping, and it's going viral. Okay, people are not participating. So I want you to know about this national strike that Commo John has called for and is trying to mobilise and so on is not out of order here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. All other options have been exhausted, ladies and gentlemen. All others, okay? And I want you to understand, I've taken great care to see if there was other ways that we could perhaps address this. And I looked at all these court cases that people were running, and I looked at all these petitions that people were going on about, and I looked at all of the documents that have been served and jurisdictional arguments, all of it. And I say to you, I recognise that there's been some victories. There has been in fighting back against the system and jurisdictional arguments and some of the common law stuff. There has been, but I mean, in the big picture, I'm saying, we got to get, and so I had to say, well, what are we dealing with in reality? What are we dealing with? And again, after listening and reviewing and going over, thousands and thousands of hours of uploaded material by Romney Stewart and Dick Yardley and Rod Cullerton and then Wayne Glue, and then even yourself, Rick, and all of your uploaded work. And there's other people out there, many other people out there. But after listening to all of this stuff and then talking to them, right, personally, although they're all talking different languages, right, like you, Rick, personally, and it's not a criticism, but you're trained by the military. I'm trained by the unions and the commos, right? I have a way of talking. I can't help it. You can't help it. That's just what they call style. That's your style. But, when I sat down and I was going through listening and reviewing time and time again, all of these activists, these great researchers and people who I have respect for, right, they were all saying the same thing, that every bit of this stuff that is, it's a belligerent occupation. And that was the only words that I could come up and describe it as, right? And so I went back to these very same people. I'm saying to them, listen, fellas, am I right or not here? I mean, will we have a belligerent occupation? And I said to them, we have a belligerent occupation and I'm calling for a national strike. Am I out of order? Out of order. And all of them, all of these people who I have great respect for and agreed. And they said, no, you're not. You are not, John. You're not. We support it. And with yourself, Rick, I mean, you seconded the motion from up front. You said, no, you're dead right, John, let's do it. And, I even spoke to a guy called Wyatt Wharton, and Wyatt was the guy that flew to London and served a lawful rebellion on the Queen of England and the Archbishop of Canterbury, and said, listen, we need remedy. We need you to remedy this. We have all this shit going down. These people are off the leash. And despite all of that, and then a year later contacting the Queen and Archbishop saying, we need a remedy, nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have exhausted all other remedies, everything. And this belligerent occupation is still upon us, and this belligerent occupation is holding us to ransom. They are holding us to ransom. Now, Rick, you in your green room the other night went through and detailed all of the, and again, I thank you, right? Because you really dissected, what was needed to explain the language and the syntax and our operating environment, right? And you're spot on the money. Okay, so not because Commo John's a smart guy, right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just simply saying to you that this family here in Australia of researchers and freedom activists and all of that, and I credit all of it to them. It's their work that tells me and tells all of you without any question that Australia has a belligerent occupation. It's not just in Australia, ladies and gentlemen. It's in many, many other parts of the world as well. Okay. So I had to come to terms with that, ladies and gentlemen, say, well, that's what we are dealing with. Let's face it. We need to know we have a belligerent occupation, and how do we, get rid of it? Now, I said this war is not a war, first one I've ever been involved in or ever heard of, where we want what you have. No, this one is, no, we don't want what you have. We want you out. Right, it really threw me off. How the hell can we do this? So this is not like an old Commo, revolution. No. This is quite the opposite. This is a walking away. This is a walking away. Take what you're offering. We don't want it. Take your fiat currency. Take your big pharma. Take all your lies and education. Take all, and you know what the routine. Take it and leave us alone. Be gone. Be gone. Okay, we don't want to, we don't want to have any violent actions against Jews. We don't want any of that, but we want you to take your bag, pack it up, and out you go. Okay. Now, the only way to do this, ladies and gentlemen, is a national strike. That's it. There's no other option. We've exhausted all other stuff out there, and I congratulate the people for doing all of this work to prove that there's no options, but we are now here where we are in a national strike. Okay, so I want to go on, Rick, and this is where I'm going to start telling stories, and I might sound a little bit off track, but I'm going to try and hold it together. Look, again, I've been asked this, ladies and gentlemen. They're saying, righto, you called the national strike, the first strike's the rate strike. How are you going to do all of this? Okay, and I want to try and explain that to you, if I may. Not in every detail, but I'm talking overall. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's my intention, right? Okay, it's my intention to divide, right, this entire national strike effort, all of it, right, into two, right? Okay. The first, I want to divide. I want a core of those who are ready, willing, and able, right, to fully embrace and fully participate in each national strike action. Remember, folks, we're going to roll one strike action and roll them out. Okay, they're going to keep building. Okay, and you've got to decide, yes, I can participate in this strike action. So I'm saying the first one of those who can participate, I ain't paying my rates, and I'm serving this letter, and I'm taking yours on. That's one. But the second one, the second part, right, is that I'm going to divide those people who are ready, willing, and able, right, to fully embrace the national strike. They fully embrace and want and support the national strike, but they can't personally participate in any strike action. So they fully support the strike, but they can't participate in a national strike action for whatever reasons. They may not own a rate. They may not own a home, a residence, and don't pay rates. They may not be in a position to, embark or take on board others' rates, but they fully support the strike, okay? Now, I'm going to divide them. I'm going to say those who can participate and are ready to participate, and those that support the strike but can't, okay? And I'll tell you why, right? Now, you may not own a residential property nor pay council rates, but so you may not be able to participate in this first up strike action, but you can write strong letters of support. You can attend a fundraising barbecues or buy a raffle ticket, or you can stand on a community picket line. So you understand, folks, right? Just because you may not be able to directly participate in this first national strike action does not necessarily mean you can't support the strike. Okay, I want to make that point, right? I want to move on, and I'm only giving you examples, folks. I'm only giving examples. I'm just talking like I'm amongst friends, right? You may not be able to fully participate, right, in a national rental strike, but you can offer a spare room, a couch surf, or a garage to store some gear, or, and this is a big one that's been raised with me, or you can even mind and take care of a pet dog or a pet cat or one of the pets. It's come back to me. I've got people out there, mate, that want to really participate in a rental strike, but they are so at wit's end about their pets and that, and if they had a bit of support, someone saying, hey, listen, if you want to get involved in this, we will make sure your dog is looked after. Don't you worry about that. You understand? So you may not directly be able to participate in this strike action, but you can participate in the strike in a support team. Okay. So I say to you, is that it's my intention to fully leverage from the community, right, support, the community support that's already available out there, right, and to strengthen the position of those national strikers who are directly participating in national strike action. So I'm going to leverage their support, right? And I can give much testimony from my national trade union experience on how community members and other workers, although not striking directly, built and maintained support groups and networks in support of striking union members. This national strike, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing at all to do with disunity. This is about building community and unity, okay? So I don't want anyone out there thinking this is going to build disunity. It's the opposite. I'm going to manage this in such a way that it's going to give this result. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, please join the strike. Okay. I want to finish off and just say a couple of other things. There's lots of other stuff to talk about, Rick, but listen. As your public spokesman for this Australian national strike, I have this to declare to all Australians. So I want to make a public statement to all Australians, okay, as the national strike, okay. And I say this, that I can, and I can demonstrate this and in my experience and in my qualifications and all the rest of it, right? But I can, right, okay, professionally manage and discharge my duties as the national spokesman so that this national strike can be rolled out in a polite manner, with public relations in mind, whilst gathering sweet footage and photos to roll out a social media protest campaign. I can do that and manage that for you if that's what you want. Or I can also professionally manage and discharge my duties as the national spokesman so that this national strike can be rolled out as the greatest fuck you to an occupying power made up of Freemasonic, Khazarian Jewish, Zionist and central banking power bases and power structures. And if the people really want to roll out a really big fuck you strike, then Commo John, me, is the man to deliver that message on your behalf. Now, I say this, and there's no disrespect to you, Rick, but Colonel Bosi, to your audience, Colonel Bosi, in my humble opinion, has to maintain his professional officer composure, dignity, and stature. And I think you need to continue to do that, Rick, because we need you to do that, right? But Commo John has no such restraint, no such restraints, no such self-discipline. Commo John is ready, willing, and able to deliver the biggest fuck you to these power bases on your behalf. Only if you allow me to do so. Vote for the strike, folks. Rick, can I hand it over to you and recalibrate a little bit with other information, sir?
John, mate, it would be a brave individual that threw their hat in the goblet of fire to challenge you for the role of this national strike. I mean that quite with all sincerity, mate. You're the man, ladies and gentlemen. You know John. He's as straight as they come. He tells the truth. He tells you this. He tells you what you got to know the way you got to know it. Mate, thank you so much for all of that. This is the final assault. Well done. This is fantastic. I'm just so thrilled. I really am. Ladies and gentlemen, we are brilliantly fortunate to have someone like John running this for us, leading us in this last assault. He's the man. There's nobody but John. John, I'm right beside you all the way. My support for you is without condition. You know that. So thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude. Australia owes you a debt of gratitude. And when we win this, and we will, without a doubt, the rest of the country will know you as well. What I'd like to do now, mate, if I could throw it open to questions, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would love to ask you direct questions. So if you're happy to take some questions, I'll back out. Sarah will monitor the questions from the other end directly to you. And then when you're done, just give us a thumbs up and we'll wrap it up for the night. Thanks, buddy. That was absolutely superb. Sarah, if you can get ready with some questions. Commo John's ready to go.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks very much for that, John. There is a bit of confusion in relation to signing the motion. So if people sign on the old website, do they come and sign on the new one? And then because you've said you've updated the website, do they need to sign again? What happens if they sign multiple times? So there's just been a bit of confusion. The fact that you're carrying forward, we're going ahead with it. Do we still need to sign it? So there's a bit of confusion around that. So if you can please clarify that. You're muted, John.
Okay, I'm very sorry, Sarah. My first piece of advice to everyone out there, if you are unsure, go back to the website right now and re-sign if you're unsure about any of the things that you've asked me. Right, now, I'm going to answer your question. Okay, now, there has only been two places, two signatures, okay? There was the old one that got taken down. Right, okay, and then we've got the National Strike Australia website. Okay, now the National Strike Australia, if you have already signed there, right, okay, that's it. You don't need to sign anything else. All right, you don't. It's done. You're signed in, and we've captured you, and you are fine. Okay, the fact that the website was republished is only to bring the website up and improve the website, but the data and the signatures are all still fine. However, if you've signed in the old website, the old one that was taken down, you have to come across to the NSA strike.org webpage and sign up there. So please, if you're not sure, come and sign up anyway. It doesn't matter if you sign up twice. We capture it at the back, and if it's a duplicate, we just deal with it, and it's fine. It doesn't go anywhere. We deal with it, right? So we don't mind if you make a mistake. It's not a problem for us, right? Okay. Again, the website that was taken down, the petition website, if that's where you only sign, you've got to come across. But if you've already signed at the NSA website, that's it. You don't have to sign again. You're already in. I hope that clarifies.
Thanks very much, John. Next question. So now that we're going ahead, so was there a minimum number of votes required in order for you to go ahead?
No. That was always from the word go. It was always going to be a judgment call, right? A judgment call. I knew the amount of investment, my time, energy, finances, and other. I knew what it would take out of me to do this job, and I was not ever going to do it, nor was I going to risk Rick Bosi and A1's resources into a national strike that was just going to fade out and go nowhere, right? So it was always going to be a judgment call. It was never going to be an exact number, and I was never going to get to an exact number anyway because of sabotage and all that. And so a judgment call had to be made, and I've made that tonight, and I've canvassed that with Rick, and Rick has supported that call. So, yeah, I hope that helps in the explanation.
Thanks, John. So what is stopping white hats from capturing the fake MSM and broadcasting the truth? That would accelerate more people waking up and supporting the strike.
Yes, sister. Yes, absolutely. Look, it's outside of my remit, right? Those sorts of questions and that sorts of analysis, right? Go to Bosi. Because Bosi, devotes his entire life into tracking and following and all that stuff, right? I don't do that, right? I'm an old lefty, right? I know that there is a military, action that's coming. I know that, right? And I've seen evidence, and I'm satisfied to all that, right? But when exactly will mass media and all that be emptied out and recalibrated and repurposed and stuff like that? I don't know. All I'm saying is while we're waiting for that to happen, let's get into a national strike. That's where I'm coming from. While that's going on, while even whatever is going on, let's get into a national strike. It all fits.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. Now we've got someone here. They've said, I voted but cannot be sure that they've registered, and they could not see a tally. Now, I've registered on the website, and you do receive an email to confirm that you've registered. So check your spam box for that. John, would you like me to share my screen so I can show them the website, because there's the tally on the homepage?
Please.
Right, let me just bear with me, everyone, while I share screen.
Just while you're doing that, for any of the audience, if you see me drinking alcohol tonight, look, I'm a guest at a social setting. I was already booked to be at someone's social setting, so I'm using all their equipment and so on, and I'm being social and having a glass of wine.
John, can you please confirm if you can see my screen?
I can, sister. Affirmative.
Okay, thank you. So this is the nationalstrikeaustralia.org website. Now, as you can see, on the homepage, we've got support the motion. So here you're entering your details. When you hit submit, it then goes into the back-end system, and you will automatically receive an email notification to say that you have signed
Correct.
up to the motion.
Correct.
And if we scroll we'll just scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see here, this is where the tally is. So we can see by each state and territory the total number of votes. So if you haven't signed on this website, if you signed on the old petition website, please make sure you come here and sign up to the new one, and let's boost these numbers up. So John, just confirming, even though we're going ahead with the strike, we still want people to sign up. We still want to try and get to that magic number. Was it 1 million you said before?
Correct. Look, let me say, I've just given you some examples again, Sarah, for you, Rick, and your audience. Look. There is a 3 hour time lag. So when you vote, it will be counted in 3 hours. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that this vote is going to be open until all this year, until the end of this year. Okay, all this whole year, and I am going to be asking for people to continue to sign and support this strike right up until the end of 2024. So I want everyone to understand that, right? And I said earlier, I want 1 million votes, and I can hear people chuckling about that. But let me just tell you this: look, right now I've got a mutual friend, or a mutual friend of a guy who has a great social media following, and I love the guy. A guy called the Spaniard. Right, and he's done some great uploads, and he's got a huge following, and particularly amongst a lot of the young people. He's a rough nut, ex-prison sort of a guy. I don't know all of his background, but I've got people talking to him about him coming on board and interviewing and supporting the strike. I don't know. He might simply say no, go and get stuffed. But this guy's fully red-pilled, mate, and he came out very strongly against the lockdowns and defending your freedoms and so on. So now, he does an upload, and a week later he's got 1 million views. This guy, right? He's got 1 million views, and these are the guys we're talking to. These are the guys we are contacting and trying to get on board, and we're hopeful. So when I say I want 1 million people on that webpage signed up and ready to rock and ready to roll, I'm not fucking around, Sarah. I'm not fucking around. I'm not in this to run second. I'm not here to just virtue signal. I'm here to take this belligerent occupation out. Right, and I want to show this belligerent occupation that we are all over them, and that there's enough of us to throw them out in their ass. Okay, all right. So go to the website, folks. This strike motion is going to be open all year. Okay. And I want to also say this, and I've cleared this. I've now cleared this, okay? So I want you to understand this, right? I had a person who said, look, John, I have a pen and paper, right? And I want to go out and collect support for your strike, right? And so he drafted up an A4 sheet with name, right? Name, email, and postcode and signature. And he's going up to people saying, listen, national strike, blah, blah, would you support it? And they're going, yeah. And he said, right, well, give us your name. So he's writing their name and their email, and then he's saying, right, sign. So he signed it, right? So, he's gone out and got 2 sheets of paper and has, and said these people will all support the strike. And I've said, right, email them through and we'll put them through our system. Right? Well, I'll count those people. I will count them. Right? If they've signed it and he's done it, in goodwill, then I'll count them. So, go to the site and vote and all that. It's lovely. But if you want to be part of this strike and you want to get some support, I don't care if you're out at Thargomindah in far western Queensland. Draft up an A4 sheet of paper and go and get some signatures and email it to me, and I'll put them through the system as long as it's fair income. I don't want any fakery, forgery, or any silliness, but I'll put them in the system. Okay. What else you got there, sis? What else you got there in questions?
Let's finish off on this one. If our rates aren't due, are we encouraged to send in the paperwork anyway, as per Pamela interview on the nationalstrike.org website?
Affirmative. Okay. What we want is you to download that template. Okay. Top and tail it as per the instructional video. And by the way, there's further videos being uploaded. Our first one I thought was okay. So our second and third one with Pamela, I think is going to get better. Okay. So download it, top and tail, and serve it. Yes, please. Okay. And let's see. And anything that comes back, bring it to our attention. Yeah. But the answer is yes. Serve it.
Thank you so much, John. We can wrap it up there. We'll bring Rick in and you guys can give your final comments.
John, what can I say? It's another superlative performance. And for a man that's already done so much for the average working man in this country, the average working woman in this country, that one last fight that every old man's got in him, and you and I... We've got one good last fight in this, and I'd like to thank you, mate, for all you've done and what you're doing now, because you're now leading the way one last time to save this country for our children and our grandchildren. It's an extraordinary contribution on your part. As I said, we owe you a debt of gratitude. This is the guy that's done it 100 times before, folks. This is the guy to lead us. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to do it, and he's going to deliver. John doesn't play to come second, ever. He's never played to come second. It's not in his blood. He dies, one of the two. So we've been receiving lots of calls over many years. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? This is what you can do. Now, in terms of John's numbers, can we get 1 million? Oh, we can get 2 million. By Christmas, you kidding me? You remember that we had over 2 million people make their way to Canberra, and that was a tough gig. We had people coming from Perth and from Darwin. Sarah was one of them. She and the family came all the way down from Darwin and blew an engine on the way, but they made it. All we have to do now is get onto that website, log on, and do it. We can get millions. We get millions. This is done. The belligerent occupation's done. And we can get on with the business of throwing the bastards out and taking control of our country and setting our future like never before. John, thank you, sir. Any last words before we go?
Look, Rick, there's one very, very important, I guess, point that needs to be made, okay, because I'm aware, I mean, look, Rick, the freedom movement, the truth movement, the alt media, all that, right, it's now descended into what I describe as factions, right? It's just factions, right? Everywhere, right? And it's made the movement dysfunctional, and it's I believe it's brought the movement into disrepute. Okay, this factionalism that exists in the movement, mate, is stuff. I know this stuff intimately. How to trade unions and Labor Party and Communist Party and all sorts of secret societies. I mean, it's full of them. It's full of them. And what they've done is they brought this factions, okay, this way of managing the freedom movement, and it's totally and utterly made us impotent at the moment. And I'm hoping that this strike can overcome this conundrum, this situation of factions, okay? Factions are like Babylonian poison. They really, really are. But let me just finish off by saying this, right? The big difference, this strike motion, and it was not moved this way, Rick. You've got to understand, I'm sure you as the seconder, it was not your intention, right? It was not my intention. My intention by moving this strike motion, right, was to mobilise against this belligerent occupation and get our country back. That's it. And for the safety of our kids. I'm sick and tired of seeing all these kids kidnapped by child protection services and all this criminal child trafficking gangs. I mean, it's freaking me out. So that's the reason I moved, okay? But what the motion has done, it's really exposed a huge fracture line inside of the freedom movement, the truth movement, and the alt media. It's exposed it, and it was not my intention, but now it's out there, Rick. It is so obvious. You got those, right, who, who base all of their, like me, this is what I've done. I've based all of my opinion, right, my assessment on the wonderful work, years of work of Romley Stewart, Wayne Glue, Rod Cullerton, Dick Yardley, and yourself, Rick, because I think you, Rick, are a very, very highly skilled researcher, right? Okay, different style in it, but you've got a lot of skills in there, and so I'm basing we have a belligerent occupation, not on my opinion, but on all this entire body of research, okay? And I'm saying we've exhausted all remedies, and there's only one other way to go, and that's a national strike. Now, there are others inside the freedom movement, right, who are saying, no, right? There's one guy I know with an alt media channel come out and said, bloody national strike, what a load of shit, and smeared it, right? Others have shut it down. They won't talk about it. All this, no, right? Now, I'm telling you now, this is the difference between Commo, John, right, so that people understand this. You need to know what my thinking is. You need to know who I am, right, and you need to know why the stuff, because I want to be fully transparent. Look, the difference is this, right, okay, because I want to categorically spell out and delineate the pivotal and key differences between me and those people I represent, the national strikers, okay, against those people who hold themselves out as freedom fighters and truthers, but yet oppose this national strike and actively work against it to undermine it. I want to get to what are the differences. What is the difference, right? Okay, if I'm going to go to war, going to have a fight, I've got to have an argument, I need to know what the hell am I arguing about, okay? And this is the difference, okay? They say, these people, they say that they can repair and fix this Babylonian system of government and all of these massively corrupted institutions. That's what they're saying. That's their position. Let's have a royal commission. Let's have a Senate inquiry. Let's have a judicial inquiry. Let's have this, mate. It's all about trying to fix this Babylonian system that has belligerently occupied my country, mass murdered here, right? Many of my countrymen, Rick, threatened me and my family to murder me as well with toxic jabs and all the rest of it. And now, even though I haven't had them, and my wife and family haven't had them, I've now got reports coming from Gidgeon which are now terrifying me, Rick. Terrifying me about the damage that these people have inflicted upon me and my countrymen, right? I say you can't fix this. I say they're out. I say they all have to be swept away. But I make this point, Rick, I am not saying that they get swept away in a violent communist revolution. I want to get that clear, because we don't need to. We don't need to. We don't need to clean this belligerent occupation out through a violent revolution, right? We have to turn our backs on it, turn away from it. We have to refuse to eat any more of their poison Babylonian fruit. Their poison Babylonian fruit. Everything they offer us is fucking poison. I can't drink anything. I can't breathe anything. I can't bloody eat anything. I can't open a tin, a can, a bottle. I can't use a soap unless it's got some fucking Babylonian poison in it. And I'm over it. I'm sick of it. It's got to go. All of it. You can't fix it. There are those people who are going to try and argue the toss and say, come on, Australia, we can straighten it out. We can get rid of these crooks and grubs and everything else. And I'm saying, no, they all go. They all go. And the war at hand is this, and they shall not pass, Rick. According to my biblical scripture, mates, and I've never read a passage out of the Bible, this is they tell me. They shall not pass. We're not going to let them pass. They are not bringing their secret societies. They're not bringing their Babylonian institutions. They're corrupting all their bloody, control systems into our new Australia. Our reset Australia. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get our country back, baby. It's coming back. My worry is not getting our country back. My worry is for a nation of uneducated, ungrateful people getting the greatest gift ever, and then fucking it all up again. That's my worry. We are never going to get this chance again, Rick. Never, never. And this thin line of belligerent occupiers, mate, and their toadies, this thin line is standing between me, and fucking trillions of dollars of wealth that I want recovered, standing between me and bloody, medical cures and new history, new physics, new everything they've kept from us. These bastards have held us back for hundreds of years, and now is our time to shine. Humanity's time to shine, and I'm part of the demolition crew. You go and build, Rick. I can't build anymore, mate. I can't. I'm fucked, baby. I'm an old lefty commie. I'm fucked, right? But I'm part of the demolition crew. I can still deliver a big smack in the mouth. And I say to Australia, it's up to you. If you want me to pissant, if you want me to go and, deliver some soft cock bullshit strike, I'll do it for you. I'll kiss your ass and we'll do a bit of social media if you want to do that. But, if you want to send the biggest fuck you to these power bases, mate, these Freemasonic power bases, these Zionist power bases, these Khazarian Jewish power bases, all of these central banking power bases, then back Commo, John, because I'm in the mood to tell them. Thanks, Rick. Good night, and thank you to all your audience.
Thanks, John. Well, you heard it there, ladies and gentlemen. We're not negotiating with the cabal. We're not negotiating with those who are trying to kill us. It's stand or die, and Australia's standing up. My name is Ricardo Bosi, National Leader Australia 1. It's the 29th of March, 2024. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick.